Good morning. I wanted to come to you this morning and talk about a subject that has been raising a lot of questions. And the subject is our public notice of intention to resume levying taxes within the jurisdiction. I've had TV reporters, I have had numerous people from around the country, even family members ask, what gives you the right or the authority to tax within jurisdiction? And here we go. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see it. In accordance with Article 6, Sections 2 and 3, the 1809 Land Trade Agreement, and that was a land trade agreement between Thomas Jefferson and the Chickamauga in Arkansas, and treaty boundary jurisdiction established by 7 Statute 156, that is the 1817 treaty, 7 Statute 195, that is the 1819 treaty, the governing document of the Chickamauga Nation, and numerous Supreme Court rulings. The Chickamauga Nation provides formal notice to the public. We are resuming the rights of taxation and tax exemption. We have the right to tax under treaty law, and we are exempt within the jurisdictional boundaries. If you live within the jurisdictional boundaries, you are exempt from personal property and real estate taxes within our jurisdiction for the protection, healthcare, education, and well-being of the Chickamauga Nation. The protection will help us to provide police and fire and emergency services. Healthcare will help us to provide doctors, clinics, and hospitals for our people and those that live within our communities. Education for our students and the students within the community of where we have our education centers, and the well-being of the Chickamauga Nation. That will help us establish our own buildings and lands. In accordance with McGirt v. Oklahoma of 2020, the 22 treaties signed with the United States government between 1785 and 1835, the reservations and jurisdiction established within those treaties was never legislatively disestablished by Congress. That is the key phrase in all of McGirt. They were not legislatively disestablished. Therefore, as the sole remaining tribal government who signed those treaties and who was never terminated by the Congress of the United States, we retain full jurisdictional authority over those reservations and the retained rights within those said reservations. I thought that was pretty simple, but there have been questions raised. What gives us the right? Well, the right was established in treaty, but there are numerous Supreme Court rulings. I'm going to share one more time. These are the Supreme Court cases that give us authority to do what we are going to be doing. McGirt, Brown versus Itasca, Montana v. U.S., Marion versus Jacarea, Oklahoma Tax Commission versus the Sac and Fox Nation, Adkins Trading versus Shirley, Becerra versus San Carlos Apache, United States versus the Shoshone Tribe, Idaho v. United States, Oklahoma Tax Commission versus the United States, Mescalero Apache Tribe versus Jones, McClanahan v. Arizona State Tax Commission, White Mountain Apache Tribe versus Bracker, Rama Navajo School Board, Inc. versus the Bureau of Revenue of New Mexico, the New Mexico versus Mescalero Apache Tribe, Oklahoma Tax Commission v. Citizens Band Potawatomi Tribe, Washington State Department of Licensing versus Cougar Den, Inc., Talton versus Mays, Williams versus Lee, Menominee Tribe of Indians versus the United States, the Santa Clara Pueblo versus Martinez, Duro versus Reyna, C&L Enterprises versus the Citizens Band Potawatomi, Dollar General versus the Mississippi Band of Choctaw, and the United States versus the White Mountain Apache Tribe. We're not just making up we have the rights to tax. We're not just making up crazy stuff. We have the right and we have the authority. We have the governing documents that allow for tax code. They allow us to tax and they allow us to do what we need to do to provide for the people of our tribe, to provide resources to our tribe within every jurisdiction established by treaty that was never disestablished by Congress. Please make no mistake, we will be judicious when we tax, but we have the right and we have the authority. For the most part, if we issue a tax bill, it will have a 60-day grace period to pay it. If at the end of the time the tax is not paid, we will place a lien. And if the lien is not paid, we will foreclose.